And imagine sprinkled in amongst that, you might be popping in to send them a personal email message, or you might be, you might be sending them a little voice note because you said, I've seen you liked. You can also set things up so you can, as I said before, if they visited a certain page on your site, if they download your freebie, you can kind of get a notification that they've done that, and then you can go and say, hey, I saw you grabbed this the other day. This only works when you're dealing with relatively small numbers. If you're picking up 200 subscribers a week,
it's a little harder.
If you're at the early stages of building your list and you're picking up 10 people a week, why wouldn't you go and VIP them to death? Why wouldn't you just go and say, hey, I saw you downloaded my lead magnet. How are you getting on with that?
Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Professional Rule Breaker podcast. I am excited to start the year 2023. It's kind of crazy that it's already a brand new year. And I want to welcome my next guest. So my next guest is a brand specialist for entrepreneurs. And she's the founder of a WordPress company called The Design Space that has a membership product called the Marketing Fix, which specializes in coaching members to build ethical funnels. So I want to welcome Melissa Love to the show.
Thanks, Kathy. It's lovely to be here. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. So let's go ahead. I want to find out, because I love how you said ethical funnel. So tell me, what is an ethical funnel?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think if you've been in marketing for any length of time, or even if you have been dabbling on the fringes of marketing as someone who's a small business owner, you sign up for a lot of things. You sign up, you give your email address away for a nice freebie, and then you just get kind of sold to death. Your inbox is flooded. You get to the point where you can't even remember what interested you in them in the first place. And it kind of becomes this big jumble, and then you unsubscribe. And that's kind of the traditional funnel model, is that you get as many leads into the top of your funnel as possible. You cram them in there and, squeeze them. And, some people might get hurt along the way, but that's okay, because some money is going to drip out the bottom of your funnel. And you calculate the success of your funnel based on the percentage return it gives. And
it's almost like the wrong endpoint, right? It's like the wrong want to, your what you want to offer or whatever. It's like you almost just want to offer marketing, and maybe not thinking about the customer.
Yeah, and it feels like a real disconnect, because everybody I know is a really nice person who doesn't want to make people feel, pressured, or, nobody wants to be the used car salesman of marketing. And yet, my apologies to anyone who's an excellent car salesman. I think that's like a thing we should stop saying, along with.
I agree.
I think we need to be careful how we label people as unethical when it comes to sales. But for a long time, I'd been feeling a bit of a disconnect. And without naming any names, I'd read a lot of business books about funnels, and it's all kind of like hustle, it's a volume game. And none of it was resonating with me. I was like, where's all the nice people? I don't want to do it this way. So I came across, I have to give credit to it. I came across a guy called Bastian Ernst, and he has a product called Wild Audience.
Okay.
So I kind of first got into his email funnel, and I was like, hang on, this is written like my friend is writing it. And it's, you could speed up your way through the funnel because you loved his writing, or you could say, I need a week off because I haven't got time to process this. You should hit a button and it would take a break. And I was like, ooh, this is different. This really interests me. And he calls it relationship marketing. And that changed everything for me in an instant. I didn't have to have like a 15 email sequence that hammered people into submission and, till they either buy or unsubscribe. I could play with it. So I started to play around with GIFs and being a bit silly and a bit funny and being myself and not having super polished videos. But also I started to bring in human touches. So as technology's evolved, I've got a couple of favorite tools, like Bonjoro is a really good example. So I thought, hang on, I can have a funnel which reminds me to do things as a person. So when people get to a certain stage in my email sequence, I can have a reminder on my phone that says, hey, send this person a little video. And people cannot believe it. They're like, that's really you? So once I worked out you could insert some really cool human touches into the funnel, I started to think of my automated email marketing as more like my concierge. It does some of the heavy lifting it does all the heavy lifting, but it tells me when to show up as a real person.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I love something else that you said. It's about the relationships and relationship selling. Because don't you think that, people want to know the other person on the other side. And if you are perfect all the time, your hair is perfect, there's a lot of filters on social media that you can use so that you look almost a little different as well. And I think it builds a different expectation and almost like there's a wall. So I love how you said, because I think if Buongiorno is a little video app, correct? That you can use. And is there a limit to like how long the video is or anything about that?
There probably is. I've never hit it. I keep messages short because I'm like in the supermarket or walking my dog. Like I don't wait and sit down and batch them with my makeup on. The joy of them is you're out walking or hiking or you're on the beach and you say, hey, I'm in the supermarket. But I was so excited to hear that you joined my membership that I wanted to shoot you a message to say you could just know that I'm here for you and I'll email you tomorrow.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
Or you get an inquiry and you can say, hey, I'm a photographer. I'm in the middle of shooting a wedding. How mad is this? Just wanted to say, got your inquiry. We will be back to you, reel us tomorrow, and, in the meantime, my email responder has sent you all the information you need. So it's very powerful when you use the fancy name for it is asynchronous video. So the back and forth of kind of video. And there's other tools are available, I should say. I love Monjoro, but I'm also a big fan of Video Ask is the other one I use a lot. And also a little Loom video never goes amiss.
Okay. And you integrate that with your email marketing that you use? Okay. I love that.
I use ActiveCampaign and they have a native Bonjour integration, but you can also integrate something like Video Ask with Zapier. So, very easily done.
I love that. Absolutely love that. I mean, to me, I have something that I teach called a connection campaign. And a connection campaign is almost like if you think of like, let's say you're with your best girlfriend or you're with someone that you haven't seen for a while, you touch them. Like it's that constant touch. And it's not selling. It's just saying, hey, I was thinking about you today, which sounds like very similar to what it is that you're doing, except you're a lot more technically advanced, I think, than what I am but I absolutely love that because I think that's what we all crave, especially now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no way anyone could monitor kind of how often people, your signups and see what they're all doing. That's the beauty of automation is that it prompts you, just gives you a little nudge and says, hey, if you go and do this tiny human thing, it's going to make a huge difference. It just kind of helps you to be your best self and much more organized than you could be if you weren't automating all of this stuff. It's very clever. And I can tell you one thing, which kind of is more advanced, but it blows a lot of people's minds. If I'm in the middle of doing a promotion and someone has visited the sales page, I can set it. Say they visited it 5 times, but they actually haven't bought. I can get a little notification that says this person is keen, but they haven't bought yet. And I can send them a personal message going, hey, Kathy, and I can do this because my membership is about marketing. I can say, I saw that you've been looking at my sales page. And then I always say, I hope you don't feel a bit spooked by that. It's actually a clever marketing trick, which I'd love to teach you. And I can see you're interested in the membership. And that's exactly the kind of thing we teach you. But you can detect how often people are hitting a certain page and then kind of have a trigger sent to you to send them a little personal message. If they're on that.
That's brilliant, actually. That's really brilliant. So we're definitely going to have to give out how people can contact you at the very end of this podcast, because I bet you there's a lot of people that would be interested in that. So you had said something, I saw a quote or I saw something somewhere, and you talked about a funnel that whispers. Tell me what that means. Is that what we've been talking about, or is it different?
I think the quote was, I think I had it in brackets saying like, nobody wants to be a robot. So it's not the funnel. I think it was just a funny quote I used in my marketing, but it is a good analogy because you know what it's like when your people are straight into the hard sell. And that's when people are doing it on a volume scale and it's just too much. So I prefer the pace, or I don't. And I'm sure lots of marketers were telling me I was doing it wrong, but even when we do a time limited campaign, like we're launching a special offer, we don't send that many emails. And we're also we're subtle, but we're also quite direct. So we kind of think of it as, as the most honest you can be, because or the other thing I think about it is saying the hardest thing, like the hardest thing in the elephant is how many times you're going to email. So we at the beginning of a campaign, we will say, we're going to email you exactly 12 times in the next X many days. If that's too many for you, but you still want to stay on our list, but you want to skip all these emails, click here. So we try and give people an easy out so that they don't completely unsubscribe. And we're very, very honest about how many times we're going to email people. And we label our emails like 1 of 6, so people can kind of think there's an end to this.
Oh, okay.
At the top of every email, there's an unsubscribe just from this sequence button. So we don't want to lose people completely, but we also talk about, the thing that no one wants to talk about. And there's a great book, actually, which I can highly recommend, called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan.
Okay.
I don't know if
They Ask You Answer? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all about saying the thing that, normally people don't say on sales pages. Like, he tells the story of how he transformed the family's, they sell pool business by saying, how often do our pools leak? Like, nobody wants to put that on their sales page. They kind of tackle all the difficult subjects. So we try and do that in our email marketing too. So people are like, well, that's refreshing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great resource. Definitely a great resource. So you touched upon sending out emails for a new product, a new campaign, or something like that. So a lot of gurus out there, they're like, send out 3 emails a day when you're having a launch, and send it out daily, which personally for me, when I start getting that number of emails, it almost is a red flag for me. So I love your approach of letting people opt out, but do you have like a general recommendation as far as like how many emails should be sent out? Let's say you have a new product that's launching in a couple weeks. Would you send one every day? Would you send one every couple of days? I mean, in your experience, what seems to work the best?
Oh gosh, it really depends on your product and whether it's a launch where there's going to be a lot of hype, where there's daily activities going on. So, and there's no hard and fast rules. Like, it comes down to what you feel comfortable doing. I cannot bring myself to email daily, possibly in the final 3 days before an event, but that will include 15-minute warning emails and things like that. So
right.
I just don't think it works for my audience. That said, we do have a standard when we build funnels for people. And when we're doing a launch funnel, we do a 6-week warm up. So most people are emailing their list once a month, once a week. We take them over the course of 6 weeks from 1 to 3 emails. So we do a revival, like, I've been a bad friend. Sorry, but that's because I've been so busy working on this incredible new thing. So you're going to be hearing from me more over the next few weeks. So we do a little revival. Then we move them from, over the course of 6 weeks, we move them from 1 email to once. Most people aren't even emailing once a week. So we go from once a week to twice a week to 3 times a week. And then in the week of the launch, we will do the final 3 days, all the reminders. And then in the close cart kind of period, which is normally about a week to 10 days, we'll do every other day until we do the last 2 days with the reminders. So, but that's at the outer limits of my tolerance, even that I feel it's marginal.
Right. Exactly. I think, there's that fine line because not everybody reads every email. So you have to keep on sending things out so that people see it. But on the flip side, for the people that actually see your emails, if you are sending something out every day, really almost about the same subject because you have a product launch, and whether it's cart close or it's, it's launching in 6 weeks, you want to definitely get the message out. So I know that it's almost like a squeamish feel when you're doing that, at that time.
Well, what alleviates that feeling for me is we rely quite heavily on retargeting, ads, paid retargeting during those kind of periods, because then I don't, if email is your only channel, you're going to struggle to not annoy people. And you're going to struggle with conversion because it's just too much and people don't read them all. But if you are reflecting that in your socials, then, bingo.
Right.
So, and
Exactly.
it's very targeted. You can say these exact people should see this exact ad or message and in their Instagram stories 3 times this week. So you're kind of bookending it with some very subtle paid ads. And then I feel that's more effective than just hammering it through one channel.
Absolutely. I think when you do that combination with the paid ads and the retargeting, I think that's gold. And for folks out there that don't really understand what retargeting is, can you give like a little synopsis of that?
Yeah, sure. So retargeting is one of the simplest type of paid ads to run. And I'm going to specifically talk about Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. So you've probably all heard of the Facebook pixel. The pixel is the little bit of data, the little bit of script that you pop into your website, which kind of monitors, if people are signed up to your list, it monitors how they move between your website and the rest and other networks and the internet in general, and Facebook and Instagram. So once they've been pixeled by you, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of data privacy and recent developments with Apple, but the basic principle is if they've interacted with either your website or any of your social pages, like or profiles, you can then show them a specific piece of content. You can it can be anywhere. It could be in their main feed. It could just be in their stories. It could just be in Reels. It could just be on Facebook. And it could also, it doesn't have to look like an ad. You can position any piece of content in front of them with a very subtle call to action, or you could put it on all of those things, but you can control the frequency. And for me, as a funnel builder, it's magical because in that you can also control the duration. So you can say anyone who's hit my website in the last 7 days should see these pieces of content. Then you can say anyone who has hit my website in the last 14 days, excluding the people previously, so people in the 14 to 21 day category, stop seeing this, start seeing this. So depending on where they're at in your funnel, you can control exactly what they see. So what you don't want to be doing when people first download your freebie and they get to know you is showing them ads like buy now. They don't want to see that. They want to see thoughtful videos of you giving them tips, or maybe behind the scenes of what you do, just really kind of relationship building that doesn't look anything like an ad.
Right. Giving some value first. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Then as they age through your funnel, once they get to the part where your emails are sending out an offer and talking about testimonials and behind the scenes, the things you can show them on their social media feed will change to testimonials behind the scenes, and reminding them about the offer and that maybe it's time limited and going away. So it's just the extra channel you need.
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me of something. I don't even know where I saw this or heard this, but it's 3 things. It's friend, value, profit. So make a friend first. So that's really like the relationship part. Provide the value, and then you will profit if you provide that value and have help with the transformation as well. So I don't know where that came from, but I picked that up recently. And I thought that really sums it up, especially if you're doing relationship selling or your business is based off of helping people build relationships with their community.
And that's where I think people stop being overwhelmed, because if you can just imagine how it all fits together, people aren't seeing too many emails from you. They're thoughtful, they're adding value. At the same time, they're seeing content from you that doesn't feel like an ad, which is doing the same thing. And most people, if they don't know about kind of the retargeting, will think, oh, that's funny because I get her emails. That's funny. I was reading her email.
Right. Exactly. Right. And I remember before I understood all that, I was like, wait a minute, how come she's showing up in my Facebook feed?
Yeah. But I think the mistake that a lot of people, I don't want to say mistake, but what a lot of people do is with their retargeting, they just have buy now ads, like here's what we do, like buy it. But people aren't at that stage. They're still getting your let's make friends emails. So the beauty of it is they don't see the sales message till you're ready to see it. And imagine sprinkled in amongst that, you might be popping in to send them a personal email message, or you might be, you might be sending them a little voice note because you said, I've seen you liked you can also set things up so you can, as I said before, if they visited a certain page on your site, if they download your freebie, you can kind of get a notification that they've done that, and then you can go and say, hey, I saw you grabbed this the other day. This only works when you're dealing with relatively small numbers. If you're picking up 200 subscribers a week,
it's a little harder.
If you're at the early stages of building your list and you're picking up 10 people a week, why wouldn't you go and VIP them to death? Why wouldn't you just go and say, hey, I saw you downloaded my lead magnet. How are you getting on with that?
Absolutely. And I think that's where, the new entrepreneurs, that's where they struggle. They struggle with building that relationship because they're like, oh, this person just signed up for something. Should I email them again? And they don't have that relationship. Or let's say they sign up for a challenge, they saw that you're doing a challenge or something like that, but maybe they may not come to the challenge because they either forgot about it or they signed up for several different things and there wasn't that personal touch. So I love your strategy of offering that personal touch because I think that again is make a friend. It's providing that relationship and they're going to remember you versus, the hundreds and thousands. I mean, the amount of emails that we get in this day and age is crazy.
Well, I'll tell you another really good tip for being more human. At the bottom of every email I send, it says, if you've got any questions or just fancy a chat, hit reply, connect with me on Messenger or send me a WhatsApp. And they're all live links where they can contact me personally. And our list is about 15,000 people. We're sending 3 emails a week. So we're sending like 40 odd thousand emails a week. And I probably get about 10 replies a week because most people don't believe it. They're like, it's too good to be true. It's
real.
It's going to trigger some kind of robot. But when people are like, oh my God, it's her personal messenger. I'm like, is this a real thing? And I'm like, hey, yeah, how can I help you? Like, what?
Right. I actually put on some of my emails, I put that I read every single reply personally myself or something like that so that they know, it's not just going off to my team. It's something that I want to see because I want to see what people are, what questions do they have or what do they like? What do they not like? So I think that's really important. It's almost like going, it's always great when people respond because I kind of call that my information tour where I'm always trying to find out information on what is it that they need or what is it that they hated because every once in a while we all do something that people just don't connect with for whatever reason, no matter how hard we try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the other kind of the important part of getting the communication right, the actual content of what you put in your email and your ads is really understanding this is very marketing 101, but understanding your audience's pain points. So I do a big survey for each part of my company, probably every 6 months. Then we all analyze it. We make sure that the pillars haven't shifted. We adjust our content accordingly. We see what's on people's minds. And then we go back through all of our kind of email funnels and we make tweaks and adjustments to make sure. And we oftentimes will take the actual words that people have put in a response to a survey and create a blog post or something which answers that. If enough people are saying, I feel like I need a checklist to help me build my website properly, we're going to make a checklist, so your content is very much dictated by what your audience is telling you they need. So
absolutely. And I think there's always I would almost say a bit of a transformation of who your ideal client is. The more that you learn about them and the more that certain sections or parts of your audience responds to you, you start seeing that there's a specific need and even a little bit more of a niche. And you find out, I teach something called the iceberg theory, and it's all based on really, really digging down deep into your client and knowing everything about them, knowing the difference between what they say they want and what they really need and why they need it. So I love that you said that you're constantly, I think that's a great tip for all entrepreneurs out there, all businesses, is to have that review twice a year. Exactly like what you're doing.
And there's kind of a caveat to that though. Like if you're going to produce a lead magnet or a freebie, and sometimes everyone will say, like lots of people say to us, because we sell WordPress themes. So like I wish I had someone telling me how to do the SEO when I'm, So I could, if I was listening to what the audience would, I could go and produce an SEO guide, but that's not my bag.
Right.
And I was talking to one of my students the other day, and she was like, yeah, I've got this new SEO guide. And I was like, but you're a graphic designer and a web designer. You don't offer SEO as a service. Because the thing is, if you're going to produce a freebie, you got to be prepared to talk about it a lot. If you're saying, this is my specialist subject, people are going to want you to go into a lot more detail, a lot more depth. And I was like, you don't even like doing this. This is not the freebie.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Well, that's when you can partner, I guess, with someone else who's an SEO specialist, and then, let them, have them, your audience work with them as far as SEO or whatever else it might be. Yeah. But yes, absolutely. So let me ask you, Melissa, is there anything that you're working on right now that you want to talk about in your business?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, we've really decided, well, we build WordPress themes, and I work with lots of people who love building their own themes, but they really get stuck on things like the copy and the marketing pages. So what we've kind of really niching down into at the moment is making sure all of our themes are fully copywritten and they have all the marketing pages you need to build a funnel. So that's our next big project. And a little tiny sneak preview is we're going to be breaking those themes all. So if you use a page builder of any kind, like Elementor or Cadence or Divi, we're just in the process of breaking all of our layouts down into sections so you can very quickly assemble a page. So you'll have a whole library of sections. So if you're building a sales page, you can grab a hero section, a testimonial section, and assemble it in the perfect order that you want or your client wants, and it'll pick up all your fonts and colors. And yeah, so that's our new, that's very much under wraps, not anymore, but that's what we're basically trying to make making your website marketing friendly really easy.
Right. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds really great. So where can people find you, Melissa?
Well, you can come and find us. Our main website is thedesignspace.co, and you can find out all about our education program there. You can look at our themes, and I have a big Facebook group called the Design Space Lounge, and that's a great place to come hang out. We talk about design, website design, marketing, all that kind of good stuff. You can come and ask questions, whether you work with us or not. We have a whole team in there looking after people, and that's where we love to connect.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much. You have given us a lot to think about. And I don't know if you noticed my head was down, because I always do, like, what have I learned? And I have a good bit of notes of what I learned from you. So,
oh, that's good.
So everyone, please check out Melissa Love. And if you liked this podcast, that we do this because we want to provide value. But if you like this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you have the time, give us a 5-star review as well. So again, thank you everyone for joining us at the Professional Rule Breaker, and we will see you soon.